So the Fallout 76 patch notes for the December the 4th update on Fallout 76 have finally been revealed to us. Bethesda recently put up this post over on their website detailing a lot more of what's being added. Of course, as many of you will know, some of this was already covered in my previous video. They basically put up a forum post a couple of days ago detailing some of it, but of course these being patch notes now, we have a lot more to go by here, including the download sizes for this on all of the platforms, which I'm pleased to say is a lot smaller. So as always, if you guys do want to check out these patch notes for yourselves, they will be in the description below for you to check out. And let's jump straight into it. So going over to the patch notes here, and this begins with the patch version, and they've stated the size of this update will be significantly smaller across all 3 platforms than the previous patch we released on November the 19th. On consoles, the download size will be approximately 3 GB and 36 MB on the PC, and of course the patch version there across all of the platforms is 1.0.2. So of course, starting off great here, the last update was ridiculously big and had a lot of people waiting for the download. And it's good news that, you know, it's nowhere near as big as the previous one. But moving on to the next part, and this is going over general performance and stability. For the PC, it states that PC frame rates are once again uncapped. However, reaching very high frame rates will no longer cause movement speed to increase. This was originally fixed in the November the 19th patch. And then for stability here, it states the Fallout 76 game client and servers have received additional stability improvements. And will we notice those stability improvements? We'll have to wait and see on December the 4th. Moving on here though to the next portion, and this is based around the camp crafting and workshops. This is stuff that I've already covered in my previous video, and as many of you guys will know, this is based around the stash limit, which of course is being increased by 50%. So what was previously a 400 stash limit is now a 600 stash limit. And of course they also mentioned as well that this is just for now, and they're testing to see how that impacts the stability of the game, and moving forward this will continually increase as the updates go by. Next up, this is the balance changes, and again in some of this was also in my last video as well. But starting off, we have the enemies, which the XP rewards for killing high level creatures have now been reduced. They haven't given a percentage of how much they have been reduced by, so it'd be interesting to see that, you know, how will this affect the nuke zones, for instance. When you're fighting in those nuke zones and farming them, you literally fly up in the levels. You get like 10 levels each time you do it, which, you know, it's kind of ridiculous, but again, it'd be interesting to see, you know, how much that's been reduced by. Moving on to some really cool stuff now. This is based around the boss loot. To fix an issue affecting boss loot, and players should now correctly receive 2 to 4 items per boss, depending on the creature's difficulty and level. Hopefully this is a lot more noticeable with the Scorch Beast Queen. I have seen a lot of people complaining about the loot they get from her. Considering she is like the end game boss and the hardest boss to fight in the game, when you defeat her and get some terrible loot, it's very disheartening to even go back and fight her again. So this will be interesting to see what kind of drops we now get from her, and whether or not it will still be worth farming the Scorch Beast Queen with this new addition. And of course, the brand new piece of information that we're actually getting from this is that automatic weapon damage has now been increased by 20% across the board. This was definitely a needed buff. I didn't really find myself using automatic weapons too much because the DPS that you output with them compared to some of the other weapons and playstyles in the game just didn't match up at all. So this is a very good step in the right direction in terms of these automatic weapons. Anyway, now on to the bug fixes, and beginning here we have stability and performance. For console, they fixed an issue that could cause the player to encounter an infinite loading screen when signing out of their console account while playing Fallout 76. And on the Xbox, they've addressed a crash that could occur when sending multiple team invites immediately after exiting Vault 76 to a player who is not a friend. For the general section here, it states they've now fixed an issue affecting power armor frames that could prevent the player from exiting their power armor. Yet again, this is something that we've covered previously, but Hopefully this now fixes that bug, because I know that bug is very common in this game. And one new addition here is the nuke silos, and they've stated flipboards inside nuke silos no longer display portions of launch codes too soon after the codes were reset for the week. And then we have some camp, workshop, and crafting bug fixes. For the camp, we have camp locations will now correctly move standalone items built by the player into the build menu stored tab. For workshops on the PS4, wires will no longer appear to float in midair after attempting to connect 2 or more objects together. And for turrets, this one's across the board here, they will no longer become invisible if the player is not present at their camp when the turrets are destroyed. Moving on to the perks now, and it states perk cards. Ranking up a perk card will no longer cause a duplicate card to appear. I wonder if they're going to remove some of the duplicate cards that a lot of us have now. They haven't mentioned that, so we'll have to wait and see on December the 4th to see if that is the case as well. But moving on again, we have social here, and they've stated fixed an issue that could prevent a team from being correctly formed in a game world after creating the team on the main menu when both players are using new characters. And then we have another one here which states display durations for social notifications have been reduced when there are too many notifications pending. This should help address an issue in which players did not see that they successfully joined a team. And then for some of the final things here, we have the electrically charged and unstable isotope mutations no longer provide the player with bonus health. I personally don't even know how much health they give you. I've never had any of those types of mutations, so you guys can let me know how big or how good that actually was. Now they're nerfing it, of course. And for the user interface, we have AFK players will now be disconnected from a game world after 10 minutes of inactivity and will be prompted with a timer 1 minute before being kicked. For the atomic shop on PC, cursor position will no longer be disjointed from clicks in the atomic shop while using the 16:10 resolutions. For enemies, red crosshairs and enemy health bars will no longer persist on screen when an enemy is no longer in view. I've personally run into this issue a ton in game, where you just see an enemy's name and their health bar and stuff, and they're not even in your view, they're not even anywhere near you, so it's good that they're fixing that. For localization, subtitles will now appear correctly and English voiceover will play for game clients in languages that do not have their own localized voiceover. For the Pip-Boy, they fixed an issue that could cause duplicate data to appear in the stat and effects interface. And then next up, we have a pretty big one here mentioned previously as well. When you die when you're over encumbered or very severely over encumbered, it will no longer remove all of the map markers when attempting to respawn. Instead, the player can now respawn at the nearest discovered map marker, and I am personally glad they are fixing this one. This one was really starting to piss me off when playing Fallout. And then finally, we have a quest tracker. Quest objective notifications will no longer appear for inactive quests immediately upon connecting to a world, and I'm pretty sure all of you guys have run into that. Every time you log onto the game, all of the quests keep popping up for you in a row. It can be a bit of an eyesore, to be honest, but again, yeah, another thing they're fixing there. And that's pretty much it for the patch notes. We got quite a few extra additions there from my previous video. Just wanted to kind of bring these to you guys again, make sure you're all kept up to date with what's going on with this game. As always, if you enjoyed this video today, be sure to leave a like down below. It's always appreciated on the channel. I do have the top 5 best power armors in the game coming out for you guys tomorrow, and then shortly after that I should have a top 10 Easter eggs video. So make sure you guys do keep an eye out for those videos coming soon. As always, hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.